to do them separately. It's I don't know. So those are on. Those I believe to be running. And so now I can close that window. I can open the production. I can open the production software back up. I can maximize that screen. It's funny, I say maximize the screen, but it's still really tiny. Tiny enough that, well, literally, I don't see it. I can't see the camera views because obviously, as you can see, they're little and in the background, but on top of that, my screen, they're even, like the whole thing is about the size of the thumbnail, the video itself on my computer, on my video editing, whatever it is. So anyhow, we are pretty much ready. You can see that today's workout is called Basecamp Fatigue Resistance Tempo. And so we're basically building up our fatigue in the first 3 sections of the workout, those blue sections you see on the screen there. And then we've got some tempo surges, which look like they're just 30-second surges. And probably, well, no, maybe they're like more than that. Maybe 30 seconds in between those tempo surges. But, well, we'll see when we get into the workout. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm in erg mode. I'm going to work out. I'm going to pick a world. It wants me to be in New York. I guess maybe I could do Lady Liberty. I could have sworn I've done that one before. 8 miles, 675 feet of climbing. So I guess that's what we'll do because that's where it said I should go. And so I guess that's where I'm going to go. And then I'm going to click on ride. Alrighty, so the only, let's see, what else do I gotta do? I got that. I got my rusty, trusty, non-cycling shoes on because of my, I don't know if you guys can see this, my Vibram 5 fingers toe shoes. I don't know what they're called. I had foot surgery, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks ago now. And I'm still recovering from that. My feet are still too swollen to fit in anything other than soft shoes. And so not only are these soft on the top, but they're actually soft sole, which is not great for cycling, not even recommended for cycling. But it's the only option that I have. So that's what I am wearing on my feet. I still am on the rocker plate. If you watched the video yesterday, I was talking about the possibility of taking the bike off the rocker plate, which I will probably do someday, but it wasn't going to happen yesterday, and it's not part of the video today, so obviously it didn't get done yet. The other thing that I realized yesterday when I was reviewing the footage after the event was that the audio is actually coming from whichever microphone I am using, which certainly, you know, makes sense, but I assumed because the video editing software, the broadcasting software that I'm using isn't all that clear on how it functions. So it actually makes it look like maybe it's pulling audio from all sources and that you can turn it on and off or whatever, but it's only pulling from the camera that I am currently displaying. And so sometimes, especially, you know, if I'm down here, if I'm doing, you know, this, I can't even see it. When I'm sitting up, you still can't see my face, so I apologize for that. But when I'm Oh, we are live on Facebook, which means we are live on the YouTube. And so we're just about ready to rock and roll. I'm going to check my blood glucose here before we start. You can see I'm low for a intense ride, but we're really not intense. I'm at 90 right now, which is low. I should be like 110, 120. But it's only a 2-hour ride, so it's really not that critical. One more thing I got to do before I start, because if I don't do it now, I ain't doing it. And that is tunage. I did find out also that I in fact cannot play music on the video because companies like Twitch or YouTube or whatever, apparently, even though it's just a fun, informational, whatever video, there's a name for companies like that, but they won't let you. They'll literally either cut the audio out altogether, or they will just cut the video. What the hell? LMNOP, P, Pandora. Alrighty, so I am going to pick a workout playlist on the Pandora. Oh, I guess it's the same one I was using yesterday. I didn't realize I was using Pandora yesterday. Alrighty, so today's workout is not all that. It's 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes overall, it looks like. It's a little challenging. It's a little bit of a push workout, but not like ungodly intense workout. So I'm gonna switch views. Now I'm gonna have to try and adjust that while I'm riding. That's not gonna work so well. I'm gonna we're only in the workout section, so I apologize that the camera is not really going to be completely straight or level, but I think now it's not completely cutting me off while it's pretty much cutting me off while I sit up. I sit up a lot in these longer rides because I'm on a trainer and while it's uncomfortable. It's a little bit better than it was. Sorry about that. I did change the angle a little bit of the, I moved the tripod over slightly. Still haven't gotten enough feedback from you folk to let me know if you think that I should put a backdrop back here to block off, the sun and that hot spot that's behind me, and give me the ability then to do a chroma key adjustment to it so that I can essentially turn it into a green screen and then give you the ability not to have to see the background whatsoever, and instead it would fade into I gotta pay attention to the workout here. Pay attention. Pay attention. It would get rid of the background so that you could see more of the game screen behind me, which is only a list of people's names that are on the course and close to me. But yeah, there's no reason that you really need to see the back wall and the window when you could be looking at that pretty road going by behind me. So let me know what you think on whether or not I should make that change. I have back in my studio, I have plenty of backdrops, and there's at least a couple of them that I could chroma key off of. So, yeah, let me know. So Basecamp is a, I don't know, it's a winter training program that I've been paying for the last 3 or 4 winters. And it's designed, number one, to keep you active over the winter, but to truly build your aerobic base, to build your aerobic fitness, which is an area where I believe a lot of cyclists consistently ignore while we're riding, while we're training, while we're racing, whatever. And that's the area where actually the pro cyclists focus upon the most. Because if you continually build your aerobic base, essentially your aerobic fitness, then all of your zones above that, your anaerobic, your lactate threshold, your your ATP, all that is stronger, is higher. And so when I typically go out and do my quote-unquote training rides, group rides with my friends, we go out with the intention of killing each other. And we're successful at doing that. And it feels good because you're riding hard, you're freaking completely worn out at the end of the workout. You need to take a nap, you need to just chill in general. And again, I need to be paying attention to the workout. And the net result is that you never really grow, you never really get any stronger. You hit your off a certain threshold of fitness, and you don't go above that. And that's exactly what happened to me year over year over year. Throughout the course of the year, I would get stronger and faster. But I only got as strong, as fast as I was the year before. Never really got any faster, never got any stronger, never pushed my ability to move into a faster group or move up in the line, be able to hold my pose a little longer or survive in the draft even a little longer, or just not crack as soon as I did. And the reason was because that was the only area that I trained. I never really built my aerobic base, my aerobic endurance, my aerobic fitness. And that's largely because, while, gosh, I gotta pay attention. Sorry, I'm not exactly with it today, apparently. The other thing I'm realizing is since I moved the camera over a little bit, I also moved the light over a little bit. And I think what I need to do is I need to have 2 lights here and here, because the light here, while I'm trying to look at the workout, I can easily see through the camera and the tripod. The light's really bright right there, and I'm not fatigued yet. So you know how as you're working and you get really fatigued, for whatever reason, everything gets brighter. I don't know, your pupils dilate or whatever, but that's going to get annoying by the end of the ride today. So as I look at the workout over here on the left-hand upper side of the screen, right now I'm doing these warm-up pushes, which I found out, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, by reading an article in Outdoor Magazine relating to these glucose monitors. That one of the things that they learned when they were testing them, whoever the writer of the article, the author was, found out that by doing some rapid exercise, whether you're running or you're cycling or anything, by getting your heart rate up really high at the beginning of a workout, essentially tricks, or it turns on your body's release of glucose. So how I had said mine was 90 at the start of this workout, doing these pushes is telling my body, oh, there's some work coming up, you better increase that fuel source, which is glucose. And so start releasing it, buddy. And so as it does that, it essentially sets your body up by releasing some glucose and buffering the release of insulin. So that way, if you do these warm-ups the way that they're actually in this workout, and then honestly I always used to ignore, because after all, what the hell do a bunch of pro cyclists and their coaches know about training or physiology or, you know, any of that science crap and how it affects our performance, right? Well, guess what? Yeah. So that's what these things are intended for. Number one, yeah, it quite simply gets our heart rate up, which is a good thing, and we need that. But it does all kinds of chemical things in our body and gets us, gets our systems ready for the workout, specifically as it relates to glucose. And that article on Outdoor Magazine, they were saying that it begins the release of glucose so that it's available to your muscles as you use it, and more importantly, it buffers your I just said the word, your insulin response. So it reduces, or it limits the amount of insulin that your liver or whatever releases, so that as you're increasing your carb intake, that it goes directly to the muscles. It goes directly, it gets converted directly into energy, instead of your body working to store it in fat and then releasing it, converting it back from fat into energy. So those early pushes in the first couple of minutes of your workout are really important. And if you were like me and don't do them or ignore them, or maybe they're not even in your training plan, add 2 or 3 fast pedals at a progressively increased power demand or power output, and that will set your body up for better performance throughout your workout or your long ride. So, do it. Plus, it gets you a little bit gassed right off the get-go, so it makes you feel better, right? Sorry, I'm touching the camera, but only because I'm trying to figure out how to keep it from moving quite as much. But in doing that, I'm making it move more. I'm a little anal about, right now the camera's kind of angled while I'm exaggerating, but like this, which means it's the opposite for you. And makes the lines, even though it's a wide angle lens, so they're already kind of screwy, but I don't need to help it any. I guess I gotta accept it for the next 2.5 hours. Whew. So tell me, do most of you watch this video with the sound on so that you can hear my pretty voice? Or do you have the sound turned off and you're just reading the, what do they call it? The words across the bottom. What do they call that? Transcription? So yeah, here I am. My name is Dave, and now I'm in the first segment of my actual workout. I am the American mammal. I'm the middle-aged man in Lycra. And I started this vlog with the primary purpose of encouraging me to continue to follow my workout, my training plan throughout the winter, with the secondary influence or motivation being that I want to share what it is that a middle-aged man in Lycra does to keep that beautiful Lycra form. But no, seriously, to let people see what riding in a pain cave is like, and to encourage any of you that might be cyclists or just happen to have a trainer in your basement to log on to ZWIFT or Be Cool or Full Gas or Trainer Road and join me for one of my training rides and come along and get fit, increase your healthiness, and live life as we're supposed to. Interesting tidbit, you know, all this talk about Omicron and holy crap, COVID's gonna kill all of us, right? One thing, at least here in the US of A, that is very rarely, if ever, talked about on the media is that from the beginning, the people that had the highest risk of health consequences due to the corona were people who had other medical issues, whether that simply be age or other health issues, chronic respiratory issues, or kidney issues, or heart issues, lung issues. But one of the biggest that they found is obesity. And as you know, most Americans, and I do say most, suffer from obesity. I myself, even though I ride, I've got a big 20-pound or maybe 16-pound reserve on my gut right now. Well, the virus itself actually feeds off of fat cells. And so the more you got, the stronger it gets. So if we just get healthy, if we drop a few pounds, we make our bodies more capable of fighting off bacteria and viri, and therefore they're not as much of a threat to us. I'm not saying that it's a way to protect yourself completely, but it's kind of foolish not to get in shape, not to improve your heart health, your lung health, reduce your fat, maybe even eat a little bit more healthy, and train your muscles to work a little harder so that when your body does need to kick in and fight off whatever it is, an injury or a disease or whatever, your body has more energy, has more ability to fight it. Obviously, I started cycling way before the Rona was an issue. But I did start cycling because I noticed it literally, I swear it happened overnight. I woke up one day and I looked down. Well, I woke up one day and walking down the stairs from my bedroom to my kitchen, I'm kind of huffing and puffing a little bit, and I'm like, huh, that's weird. You know, and then as I'm cooking up my waffles with maple syrup and I don't know, I'm sure the night before I had 4 or 5 tacos from Tijuana Flats. I look down as I'm cooking up those waffles, and I see this bulge. I'm like, what the hell? And then as I'm taking my shower, after my shower, I'm looking in the mirror, and I got little rolls in my neck. My cheeks are kind of puffy. My face is round. I'm like, what in the hell? This happened overnight. Well, it didn't happen overnight. But I noticed it all at once because I had been ignoring it for so long. And I said, you know what? I need to get fit. And spending the winters in Miami, at the time I was in South Miami, and up and down Red Road and Sunset, and what's it called there, Cutler Highway. As you're driving up and down, you see these groups of cyclists all the time, literally 7 days a week out there. And I'm like, you know, I should go do some of that. My son, who was training for the Olympics in the sport of sailing, one of his sponsors had sent him a few boxes of race bikes. Now, they owned a company that made race bikes. And they sat in the garage because his trainers told him that he was on a weight gain program and that his cardio needed to be limited, certainly no cycling. And so the bikes sat in the garage in these boxes just collecting dust. So I'm like, you know what? They intended these bikes to be ridden, even if David's not riding them. If I ride them, they get noticed, right? So I broke one out, I built it up. Literally high-end bikes. I mean, they were nice. And I rode around the block. Well, I rode around the neighborhood. A little longer than a block. I may have ridden, I don't know, a mile and a half. And I was freaking toast. I hadn't been on a bike in over 10, probably 15 years. So I didn't have a bike computer. I didn't even know the cycling apps that were out there. But I rode a mile and a half, and I was cooked. I came back, and I pretty much slept all day. But I said, you know what? I've got to improve this. I can't be this unhealthy. So I kept riding every day, a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And I eventually made it out of my neighborhood. So I was going a little bit further. And then at one point I rode out of my neighborhood, rode up Red Road, turned and rode down Sunset to the traffic circle, rode around the traffic circle, rode up Ingram Highway, or whatever it's called there. I think it actually is called Ingram Highway there. or Old Cutler Road, I don't know. But I rode up Ingram Highway back to Red Road. You know, right where the fire station is there on the corner of Ingram Highway and Red Road, just past Fairchild Gardens, or whatever they call that. Turned right onto Red Road, rode back to my street, got home, and I was like, damn, that was awesome. I think it's, that triangle was maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 miles if I was stretching it, right? And I was just happy to be finished. I think those 10 miles probably took me, I don't know, over an hour and a half maybe. But I was thrilled that I rode that far. And I kept doing that then every day. That 10 mile or roughly 10 mile route. I think it was like 9 something, or I don't know. I'd have to ride around the neighborhood a little bit to bring it up to 10 miles. Because in the meantime I found, I don't know what app, but I found an app. This was like pre-Strava. Maybe Met My Ride, or I don't remember what the other one was called. I think I still actually have it on my phone, but it's no longer active. It was really cool because they supported a really high-end heart rate monitor, which, you know, I needed high-end shit back then. That not only tracked your heart rate, but it tracked your respirations, tracked your skin temperature. There were a couple of other things too that it tracked and reported, and it fed it into this cycling specific app. And so I bought one of those. It's a shame I still have that laying around somewhere here in my pain cave. It's a shame that none of the apps are supporting that, because looking at your heart rate gives you some data, but looking at your respirations, like right now I'm breathing pretty hard. I'm thinking it's because I'm talking so much and I won't shut up. But that tells you more than just your heart rate. And then obviously your body temperature, your skin temperature, is a component of your core temperature. So as your skin temperature goes up, your core temperature is higher than that, right? So if you look at all those factors together, you or your coach or some analyst somewhere can glean way more information about your health, about your fitness, about your performance, and use that data to make you all around better as of an athlete. So, yeah, as I was doing those rides, you know, specifically on Sundays, but on Saturdays too, and less often during the week, but a bunch of groups in Miami either start at the traffic circle, or they start at City Hall, or they start in the Grove somewhere, but then they ride down to the Homestead Miami racetrack, right around there a couple times before going back, or they'll ride all the way down to Robert is here. A couple friends of mine who just rode their bikes down to Key West. They rode through Florida City. I don't know where they started, and I don't know actually. I think they started somewhere in Naples, and I don't know if they actually rode all the way across 41. They should have if they didn't, but they rode through Florida City, and they came down like US 1 into Florida City, and then turned, left and right, and finished like just before Court Card Sound. And then, by looking at their Oh, anyhow, so they did that. If they would have just turned right instead of left, they were 3 blocks away from Robert is Here. So if you're riding in Miami, or you're ever down there, or you're planning a vacation, or you're just driving through, going down to the Keys, stop at Robert is Here. The most incredible selection of rare tropical fruits and vegetables. They turn all those into smoothies if you ask them to. They'll literally tap a coconut for you right there. They've got them on ice. You name it, they've got it. Like shit you've never even imagined. They're like, oh, try this. It's a good place to stop on a ride. So anyhow, a lot. It's a 2.5 hour ride, guys. So a lot of teams will ride down to Roberts, or go across Cardstown Bridge and go all the way down to Circle K and back, or even go to Everglades National Park and come back. So as I was doing my triangle ride, Red Road to Sunset to Ingram and back, just coming back up Red Road, you know, I'm huffing and puffing at 10 miles an hour, right? And like literally my heart's pounding out of my chest. I'm breathing like that, kind of like I am right now, actually. And these Cuban guys, not just one group, they come freaking flying by. Again, I'm only going 10, right? It's at the end of their ride. They're, you know, 100 plus miles into their ride on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever. They come flying by me. 22, 24, I don't know how fast they were going. It seemed like they were going 68, but these guys come flying by me. My heart's beating out of my chest. I can't catch my breath. They come flying by me, having a conversation. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm, you know, that's all you can hear as they're going by, right? And I'm literally in hell, just hanging on for my dear life, and they come flying by me talking. But it was that moment. I remember this specifically to this day. That was over 10 years ago. I remember saying, I want to ride with a group like that. And this was only, I don't know, a few weeks into me getting back on the bike. Not very much time of me spent you know, getting fit or, you know, cycling in over 15 years. But I remember it was at that point that I said, I want to be able to ride with a group of guys like that and be fit enough to be able to hang on. So I kept riding my triangle, and then eventually I got to a point where my 10 or 11 miles wasn't enough. And so I would then, instead of turning right when I got to Red Road, I turned left. And would go down to, what is that called down there? Like Gables by the Sea or Gables, I don't know. I think it's Gables by the Sea, right? Just before you get to Cutler. And then it basically kind of turn around, go back through that neighborhood, and come back up, right? And I did that. So I was going a little bit further. It only added, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 miles, maybe 6. But I started expanding my distance. I started riding a little bit faster. And then I found a group actually at Bike Tech in Miami. Shout out to the Bike Tech crew. in the Gables on Miracle Mile there. Well, not on Miracle Mile, but up the road. But they were hosting a ride at the time. It was called, so now we're over a year into it, by the way. But they were hosting a ride called I guess I need to push back a little bit in this story. So I'm riding a little bit, and you know, heck, that I'm pretty hip, so I'm posting on what was pre-Facebook, MySpace. You know that I'm doing this riding, and I had a friend of mine send me a message. I don't know if it was on the app or just a text message, or he probably called me. A friend of mine, a couple years before that, had been diagnosed with a terminal blood cancer, and literally was told at the time he wasn't going to leave the hospital, like his life was over, right? Nicest guy in the world, literally the most wholesome, down-to-earth, spiritual guy I've ever known, probably ever will know. Diagnosed with death. And I remember we had his family put on a prayer service for him at St. Chris. And literally the church was full. Everybody that Bob had touched in his life was there praying for him. And Bob wrote a letter because he was in the hospital being told, you know, he was never going to leave. And Tom, his brother, read it, but read it to us. In essence, it said, you know, I really appreciate you people coming together and, you know, praying for me. It said, but don't be in despair, don't regret, don't fear or feel angry or upset or anything about me. He said, use this as an opportunity to realize that your life is precious and that the people that are in your life, your family, your friends, are important. And never miss an opportunity to tell them that you love them. So here's this guy on his deathbed. Rather than saying, oh, poor me, I mean, I don't know, he was maybe 30 at the time. I don't know how old we were. More than 30, but, you know, rather than, you know, than moping and woe is me, which would be completely understandable and acceptable, right? The guy literally was just told that he's not going to live anymore. And he tells us not to worry, to understand that he is going to be in a better place and that God is taking care of him, and that we should focus on ourselves and our loved ones, and to use what's going on with him as an example or a reminder of what's truly important in our lives. So that was a couple of years prior to this, right? So I get this call from Bob. Hey, Dave, I see that you're riding a bike. I said, yeah, I've been training not too long, but I'm starting to get pretty good. And he said, well, I don't know if you saw that, you know, last year I did this ride called Pan Ohio Hope Ride. It's for the Cancer Association, and it's a fundraiser for people who are really sick. So this guy was supposed to be dead for a couple of years, right? He said, I wrote it last year because I want to support people who are suffering with cancer. This dude has cancer, right? He said, but right now, I have to get infusions. I have to get treatment every single day. I can't do the ride. So this was like, I don't know, May or June, I was getting ready to go north for the summer, and he's telling me this. And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, Bob. He said, could you ride for me? And I'm like, well, Bob, there's nothing I won't do for you because you've been such an incredible example to me in my life. But I've never ridden 100 miles. I certainly haven't ridden 100 miles back to back. And to ride for 4 days, I'm not sure I'm not sure I can do that, Bob. So Bob, in a way that only he can, trying to console me and say, hey Dave, I understand that. Riding 4 days straight is really hard and it's a big effort. He said, but Dave, I'm currently undergoing treatment for cancer and I rode last year. If I made it, how do you think you can't? And then he quickly added, you don't have to go fast. You don't even have to ride the full distance each day. Just get out there and try for me. Well, you know what happened. I rode. It must have been like May. Early May. Because that obviously put my training into focus. I started riding every day. I started forcing me to increase my distance. Instead of riding 20, 25, maybe 30 miles in a day, I got it up to 50. And actually, the weekend before Pan Ohio started that year, I rode 50 miles a day. I rode from the start of the Rocky River Reservation down to Route 82 and back for 4 days in a row, which is approximately 50 miles. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Well, you know there's a big difference between riding 50 miles in a day and 100 miles in a day. But that's another story for another day. So, after the summer, I go back to Florida, and there's this ride. It was called the Giro d'Italia in Coral Gables. And it literally was sponsored by or supported by, or I don't know what the relationship was, but Giro had this ride in Coral Gables. It was only 2 or 3 years that they had it. And it was a century ride, and they had, I don't know who had won the Giro that year, but he was there, literally with the trophy. It was a big event, and it was sponsored by or supported by or something. Somehow, Bike Tech was involved. So Bike Tech is doing these training rides to get ready. And so I joined these training rides, and Gabe and Dave and young Gabe all, were leading these rides, kind of coaching us just to get, a little bit of fitness in us, really. And we started going a little bit further and a little bit further. We'd go down to, I think the furthest we ever went was down to Roberts. But at the very least, our typical ride would go down to Black Point Marina and back, which is further than I had gone up to that point, down in Miami. And for a couple of years, they actually continued those training rides as a way to build their business and, support the cycling community who were buying their bikes and getting service done there, right? So that was my first opportunity, really, to ride with a group. And, you know, we met every, gosh, I don't remember what day it was. It was on the weekend. I think it was every Saturday. We'd meet actually at Bike Tech in their back parking lot there. And most of the time, just go and ride around Key Biscayne. Or we'd at the very least do one lap around Key Biscayne and then head south. And then on really busy days or days where like the Miami Ironman was going on, we wouldn't go to the Key at all because it was closed. And we would just go south. So eventually, Bike Tech stopped supporting that ride, stopped supporting us. You know, we had gotten to a point where, you know, we were all kitted up in Bike Tech gear, and, you know, it's the only place we'd shop, all this stuff, right? Well, when they had management issues, as bike shops often do, we're not going to do these bike rides anymore. I think something had happened on a ride, and the owner of the company got scared and basically said, no mas. So a bunch of us kept meeting in the backyard of Bike Tech, because they never really told us or announced it or anything else. They just stopped showing up, and it was before the shop opened, so there's no one there to talk to or ask or whatever. So so that actually is the foundation of Muppets Cyclismo. And actually, the full name of the Muppet Cyclismo is FBT Muppet Cyclismo, not FBJ, FJB. See what I did there, huh? Freudian slip. Not FJB, but FBT Muppets Cyclismo. And yeah, that was the formation, the unofficial formation of the team, of the first group, the first team that I ever rode with. So I'm in my second 30-minute segment here, which 150 watts at 85 RPM. Looks like for some reason the next one's only 27 minutes and 15 seconds. They were trying to keep it exactly 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I'm 46 minutes into it. So yeah, my journey towards fitness, I will never be as fit as I want to be, right? None of us are ever as strong as we want to be. We reach our goal where we think is our pinnacle, and once we're there, we realize, yeah, I'm not quite there yet, right? But that was the beginning of my journey. A journey that, if I'm lucky, will continue the rest of my life. And that has led me ultimately here to the pain cave and to the camera in front of you. Because, well, I am a middle-aged man. And where this all started, to circle it back, close the loop, if you will. When I first started wearing Lycra, I was wearing the, what do they call it? The club fit, or the comfort fit, or the fat people Lycra. You know, the Lycra that doesn't actually fit, the baggy Lycra. that provides absolutely zero benefit to your performance or to your body or anything else, actually harms you more than it helps you. I was wearing that, but it was actually not quite so baggy. Around the middle section here. So, I still have, like I said, a good 15, 18, 20 pounds that I'd like to lob off. And the Basecamp program, the winter time overall, is a perfect time to do it because, at least when I'm up here in Ohio, it may not be as easy down in Miami. But when I'm up here, it's cold outside, so I don't like going out very much. Certainly not to ride, but not even to go out to dinner. And so it gives me the ability to focus more on my nutrition and my diet, which lets me control my intake so that I'm not eating more calories than I'm burning in a given day. And at the same time, it lets me focus on the ingredients that are in the foods that I'm eating. So I'm not eating processed foods. I'm not putting all kinds of salt and processed refined sugars into my body. And instead, speaking of refined sugars, it's time to have some godly refined sugar. I didn't have my banana this morning with breakfast, so I can have it now. Whew. I'm definitely a little fatigued from this week's more strenuous workouts. We didn't really increase the power all that much, but lower cadence, which is not my strength. And the workouts are intended to build fatigue. We're trying to train our bodies to build more lactate, but then to convert a higher percentage of that lactate back into energy. Your body has the ability, your liver has the ability to convert lactate back into sugar instead of just treating it all as waste and offloading it in your kidneys. And so we're in the process as part of Basecamp working on just that, which literally is forcing our bodies to build more lactate. And then the intervals we did during the week were designed to build it and then squeeze it into the system to kind of shock your system, but then basically say, oh, I need energy, and force it to convert a little bit more into glucose. And just like every other system of our body, when we start forcing it to do something, whether we're lifting weights, or we're increasing our cardio, or we're using our minds, or whatever it is that we're doing, right? The more we use them, our body focuses on adapting to that, thus building the strength of that system. And our liver is the same way. Oh, hey, I almost lost my towel. Pointing to you. Don't want to lose my towel. I don't have another one. And I'd have to spend the next hour and 20 minutes dreading it and focusing on the fact that my towel is right there. All I need to do is stop to pick it up. Luckily, I didn't do that. So, yeah. You see, this computer's on, this tablet's on, this one's off. I don't know if you can see the computer over here. That runs the video broadcasting software called Live Stream Studio 6. I don't know if it's the best or the easiest or the worst, I don't know. It lets me multicast to multiple sources. And since I don't really know where my audience is, and frankly, the middle-aged man in Lycra needs to be everywhere, because people aren't going to seek me out. So, holy crap. I'm an hour into this ride and only 14 miles. And it's not like I've really climbed all that much, 1,200, 1,300 feet. I don't know what that is in meters for you Euro folk. So I bought these Mevo cameras, is what I'm using to broadcast with. I bought them specifically because when you use the Mevo software specifically, with just one camera though, because it's limited to one camera, it actually has an AI editing system built into it. And so it tracks where the action is in the field of view of the camera, and it actually zooms in and out, and it'll actually track you across the field of view of that camera. And I'm like, oh, well, that's awesome. You can literally have one camera, can turn it on, start streaming, and it literally looks like you've got somebody, a videographer, recording you. So I had one, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. They have a multi-Mevo camera software as well. So I'm like, let me buy more. So I bought 3 of the Mevo Starts this time. And I downloaded the multicam software, and I loaded it, got it up and running. Well, not only, so the multicam software will indeed switch from one camera to the next, but only on like a predetermined clock. You know, so you tell it every 30 seconds or every minute or whatever. Which, okay,
that still gives some variety in the angles. And while I'm riding, I don't know what to think about it. But its broadcast capabilities are limited. Its interaction capabilities are zero. And you lose the only real advantage of a Mevo camera over any other camera, even a cheap, simple camera like a GoPro, which is the AI tracking and zooming and all that stuff. But I don't know, or I haven't yet figured out, I haven't played with it enough to know, can I run the Mevo software to feed one camera, or even run it on multiple tablets and feed multiple cameras into this software, this live stream software on my computer, so I get the advantage of the AI plus the advantage of the of being able to dub in the screen share, which you can't do with the Mevo software, and multicast. And hopefully, as soon as I can figure this piece out, I'll also be able to add the streaming of the actual interactions with people on these different sites, like those of you who are watching on Twitch right now, or on Facebook or YouTube, or anywhere. So any comments that you make, I'll actually be able to see them. I can put them on the screen so everyone can see them. And while I can't type my response to you, I can give you my response verbally while I'm training. So you can watch me suffering, and you can say, hey, great job, Dave, keep it going. And I can say, thank you. Or you can say, oh, why the hell are you riding like that? Change this or change that. And I can say, thank you. Or you can say, God damn, you're ugly. And then I'll just say, fuck you. But nonetheless, those are the things that I would like to do, that I would like to add. And as I said before, I think I need to take the light that I have here, move it over here, get another one out of my studio, put it over here. I don't know if the one on the ground is currently doing any good or not. So maybe I don't need that one. It's a different shape and intensity of light. And then still work on the positioning of the cameras. So over time, I'll get that figured out. I'm making small tweaks each day to try to figure out what the best setup is, and getting feedback from people like you so that I'm delivering what it is that you want to see. And all along, I'm sitting here in the pain cave, suffering for you, and hoping that you see it and say, hey, and you log into, like today, ZWIFT. Because if I get people to tell me that they want to come ride with me, I'll create a group. And you can join that group and ride with me. So literally, we'll be together. We can chat on the ZWIFT companion app down here. And even if you get a camera, I think I can, with this software, I think I can get like 5 or 8 guests onto the screen. So I literally could put us all the way around the border as we're riding, and we could all talk and suffer together. So that's my goal. That's what I want to do. My objective, if you will. But in the meantime, I'm just here suffering for you to watch and to tell me what you think. This Basecamp program runs through the end of March, or maybe even into April, I don't remember. And last year, I kind of did the minimal amount of work. But I did it. And I'll tell you what, by following their platform, which again is the same platform that the pros that Tim and others coach uses. Like, it's literally the same training program, just maybe a little different intensity. Well, not really even a different intensity. It's the same intensity. It's just that the amount of time and obviously the FTP is different for the pros than it is for a mammal like me. So, yeah, nonetheless, I did this, I followed the program completely last year, and I had my best performance. I was the most fit of any year ever in my life. So this year, my plan was to ramp it up, which it is bumped up a little bit, but I had to have surgery in November on both feet. So I spent the month of November off my feet altogether. Well, 2 weeks completely off my feet, and then progressively spent more and more time on my feet. I still, as I said at the beginning of this ride, I still can't get bike shoes on my feet. They're too stiff, and my feet are too swollen. So I'm hoping that over these next couple of weeks, I'll actually be able to squeeze my foot into maybe my soft spinning shoes. I say soft. They're softer than any of the other shoes that I own. So hopefully I can squeeze my foot into that, and if I can, I'll put a set of speed play cleats on them, because right now I'm just riding on flat platform pedals. And then I'll be able to clip in and ride a little bit more efficiently. But in the meantime, at least I'm riding, right? And I've only got 5 minutes left of this second segment in the blue before I do these 6x30s. And I can't really read it because my eyes are sweating too much. 6 at 185 and 30 at 40, or 140. So I'm guessing, okay, in just 30 minutes, I'm guessing that those 6 minutes at 185 are going to be grinding like 60 RPM. And then the 30 seconds probably at a higher cadence to kind of refresh it. Again, focusing on building lots of lactate and then pushing it out of our muscles and flooding our system with it, forcing our system to adapt and what to do with it. And the fact that it's at the end of a ride, that I'm just doing it. You'll see at the bottom of the screen it's all blue. So it's only an easy endurance pace, but I'm doing it at an endurance pace for an hour and a half plus whatever the warm-up was, another 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes. That's building some fatigue. That's pushing us to a point where, an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes into like a century ride, it's going to be, about 4 hours. So you're about halfway through that century ride, and what happens, right? All of a sudden, people start cracking. The group starts getting smaller. You got less and less people to support you to be able to draft off of so that you can catch your breath. So your fatigue is up, and now your intensity is demanded to be up, because now you might be riding on your own. And so your body needs to be used to having that demand increase throughout the course of a ride, versus the way a lot of us, train our bodies. We go out hot because, we just hop on our bike and we got some energy, and, we're all full of piss and vinegar, and we're going to show our buddies what we got, right? And we're going to go out hot, and half an hour, 45 minutes into the ride, crack, because we've burned all our matches. And now when they start turning it up, we can't match or respond to that demand for power. So this is working on teaching our bodies to do it differently, and our minds. And again, rather than teaching our bodies that once that lactate builds up and builds up and builds up, you got to just shut down because you're full. You're teaching your body to, hey, as that lactate's building up, let's use it to our advantage. I also have an apple with me. Actually, the apple's been sitting here for 2 weeks. But because all of our fruit farmers are now owned by Big Ag, they put all kinds of chemicals in the fertilizer to, make them last longer. Or I don't know, maybe they've been genetically modified so that they don't rot. So yeah, 41 seconds till the banner. I can actually see the banner up at the top of the screen there, heading towards it. I am feeling a little bit of fatigue for sure. I can feel it in my chest, probably just the way I'm sitting. Since the camera's right in front of me, I'm trying to impress you. I'm sitting like shit with my arms forward, my shoulders forward. So, we're going from 150 all the way up to 155 watts. I'm guessing at the same cadence. Let's see. Yep, same cadence. It says solid endurance here. Keep pushing through for only 27 minutes and 15 seconds. It's not even 30 minutes. Way easier to do 27:15. So we're doing that 6x30. We're doing that 5 times. And that's just at tempo. 185, and then 140 is below endurance, so recovery. But it's only 30 seconds of recovery. And like I said, I don't know if they're going to, I assume we're doing the 6 minute at a low cadence, and then the 30 seconds are going to be at a higher cadence. Up at 11% grade here, 13. 14, 15. I'm going to tread so it's still getting steeper. Now, it looks like it's mellowing out now, but it's still red. One of the things I don't like about ZWIFT is that when you're in a workout, like I am almost all the time on ZWIFT, the climb feature of the Wahoo Kicker bike doesn't work. And I don't really understand that, because even though I'm in erg mode, and so the trainer is creating the resistance at a constant number regardless of what the terrain is doing, in reality, when we're riding, especially at endurance events, we should do the same thing. We should keep our watts the same, whether we're climbing or we're descending or we're on the flats. We should try to find a constant, or as near a constant wattage as we can, because over the distance of an endurance event, we'll come out ahead than surging up the hills, coasting down the hills, and then backing off on the flats a little bit. All that inconsistency produces worse results than the consistent. So even though I'm in a workout, it would be nice to have the bike adjust to going up a hill. Same power, you're already reducing my speed, and when I'm going downhill, send me down so that I can feel it, so that I know, not just visually, but I can feel why I'm going faster. Why am I going 37 now instead of 4, right? So you've already got all that data. You've got all those calculations. I don't get why in workout mode it won't adjust the angle of the attitude of the trainer itself on trainers like the Wahoo Kicker bike or the Kicker Climb or others that have the ability to adjust the height. It's gimmicky, but I'll tell you what, when I'm riding this course without a workout and the incline goes up or the decline goes down, it makes it so much more realistic, so much more lifelike, so much more enjoyable. So if anybody from ZWIFT happens to be watching this, fix that shit. There's no reason whatsoever that the tilt on the bike should not be functional during a workout or during a structured group ride. It will make your app more user-friendly, more exciting, and a better option to use during workouts than others. So more people will give you more money, and maybe one day you'll find a way to be profitable, which we all know is the goal of life in business. If you can't generate profit, why bother, right? But that's something that I'm assuming is literally just flicking a switch, because that functionality already exists. You already have that data set. You're already sending it to my bike when I'm not in workout mode. So just send it to my bike when I am. La la la, ooh la la la. Can you tell what I'm listening to? I don't know the name of any of these songs. But I do know that at the spin class that I sometimes go to in Westlake, Bob plays this song. And so, thanks to Bob Nemo, I have at least the basics of this song in the back of my head. And he's way more hip than I am. So he's all in tune with, you know, the music of the youth generation, the music of today, the noise and the crap that they put on the radio today. Probably because he's a musician and he probably plays a lot of this shit. When he's performing. So only 19 minutes and 2 seconds left until I move into my tempo. 5 times 6 by 30. I wish I would have read the workout now to know what's going to happen here, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do whatever it tells me to. But it kind of be nice to know what's coming up. You know, like when you do an endurance ride and you preview the course so that you know where are the difficult sections, where are these climbs going to hit me that I'm not expecting to. Where do I need to spend energy and where can I conserve, right? I don't have that option in this workout. I gotta spend whatever energy it's forcing me to spend. But now that I'm feeling the fatigue, which is the intent of up to this point in the workout, I'm starting to think negatively about the tempo segment, which I know I'm going to absolutely love. I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to love it. If I throw my empties out in the hallway, I'm much more likely to pick them up after I'm done with my ride and finish wiping down my bike than if I set them on the desk, and then it's easy to ignore them. That was not the banana. So yeah, I am Dave. I am the American mammal, the middle-aged man in Lycra. And this is my winter training program, courtesy of, well, not courtesy of, but I paid for the winter training program from Basecamp. You can learn all about it at joinbasecamp.com. However, it's too late for you to join. But as part of Basecamp, they have Tuesday and Thursday group workouts, group rides here on ZWIFT. And they're open to everybody. They're free. So you can log into ZWIFT on Tuesdays and Thursdays at both 10 a.m. and 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And ride the same workouts, the same intensity level, the same length of time that all of those of us who paid for Basecamp are riding. Now we may have some extra endurance riding that we're required to put in either before or after the group ride. But there's a lot of us that 1 hour group ride is our entire workout for the day. So, if you're not part of Basecamp, you're certainly welcome and encouraged to log into ZWIFT on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Look at the group ride section up in the top right hand corner of the screen after you log in. Find Basecamp and yeah, join us. I usually do the 10 a.m. ride, unless I have a meeting in the morning, and then I do the 5:45 p.m. And on a very rare occasion, I'm feeling so fit that I'll do both. But that's probably not likely for the rest of the winter, as our workouts are getting progressively more intense. Minutes until the real part of the workout starts. But we've been building all this fatigue for a reason. I'm gonna have an Enervit. I don't know, can you see that? An Enervit isotonic gel. They don't taste great, but my gut tolerates it pretty well. In fact, I can't say for shit, but it's not about flavor, right? I'm also, pretty soon, going to turn at least one of these fans onto manual instead of tracking my speed on the Wahoo Kicker fan. Turn it on manual so that it's going. Because I'm starting to get pretty warm. Control. All the way up. Feels so much better. I think I'm going to do a second one too, because that one's positioned so it hits my face and the two about here. But I've got one that's closer. I get a little bit of air down here, but that blasts my core and then obviously rides up. So there's going to be a lot more background noise, but it just is what it is. So buck up. Buck up and deal with it, mother. go. So hard to stick at the RPM guidance that they're giving us. I'd really like to be spinning it 100 right now, especially if we got 6 minutes at like 65. My legs are already tight. I'd love to get some blood pumped through there. But these workouts have purpose, and I don't want to defeat that purpose. Last year, I didn't follow a lot of the cadence workouts until the very end, and I definitely felt benefit from it. I am more of a spinner than I am a grinder. I have better cardio fitness than I do, and it's not great, but better than I do muscle strength. And so I am way more efficient or effective spinning faster than I am slower. And therefore, I always just said, I don't need to spin slower. But when I started doing it because I was told, Dave, you need to do this, like specifically they called me out, I started doing it, and I definitely felt a benefit from it during the season. So this year, I'm trying specifically to follow the cadence numbers that they're giving us. The problem is that sometimes they give us a number, but then they tell us that, at your own cadence. So you never really know when the number is the number, or the number just happens to be in there. That's a little confusing. Of course, I say that, and now my cadence is down. a little bit of that choke neck burns. Say that I am exactly where they intended me to be at this point in this workout. I'm feeling the fatigue. I'm starting to get those negative thoughts in my head. You know, like, why do I need to finish this? Oh, this is going to suck. Oh, it's going to hurt so much. My legs are already tired. You know, not uncommon thoughts that you have towards, you know, 3/4 of the way into a long endurance event. And, well, this is designed to make us better, more effective, more prepared for those types of events. And yeah, I'm kind of growing this. I know I've got 3 minutes left in this segment. I need to finish it before the end, because I'm guessing in the next segment, I'm not going to have the lung capacity to even get any of this in my mouth. But I don't know, I could be wrong. When you're on a relatively flat course or a flat segment of the course and you can see that climb coming and you're like a minute away and you're looking at it and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's my gearing strategy? What's my cadence strategy? Have I nutrated? Have I hydrated? Am I ready for this? Am I going to be able to handle this? Have I got this? Well, the answer is, it doesn't matter, you're there anyhow. But yeah, you can handle this. You're ready for this. You got this, Dave. 39 seconds. You can see the green banner in the route there. If all those people ahead of me on the course knew they were passing through my green banner, they'd be riding a little differently right now. Man, I kind of got to pee too. The good thing there's only a few minutes left. Okay, come on, higher cadence, come on, higher cadence, come on, higher cadence. 80. Long tempo. So actually 80 is not as low as I thought train in ZWIFT, coaches have told us it's actually a 10-watt range, and 80 is smack dab in the middle. So we realistically could be as low as 75 or as high as 85. And I literally just went through that range in 2 seconds. So I'll go down to the drops a little bit. They're only 6-minute segments. So at the lower cadence, your perceived exertion is lower, but there's actually a higher level of intensity in your body. Your fast or your slow twitch muscles are a larger part of your muscle group, so it takes more energy to fire them. But it feels like you can get into like a rhythm of it, right? Hey Google, play rock music at 80 BPM. It didn't understand me. Alexa's a little bit better with that than Google is apparently. So I've got a microphone and controls right here. That's Bluetooth connected to my phone, and then it's wire connected to my earpiece. And there's a microphone in there. So that if I need to talk to Google, or if I get a phone call, which I sometimes have during events, people have told me that there's not much, if any, wind noise while I'm rolling down the road. And it's got this cool, where is it, like right here, this cool blue blinking light. So people are always like, what's that blue light under your jersey? Tell them what's my pacemaker. That's my pacemaker. And that's the low battery warning. I'm going to try that next time somebody asks me. I probably won't remember, but I'm going to tell them that. Been a little fast. Because I'm at the top of the climb and I'm going to circle downhill. And so RPM. So that means I can go 100. Because on Thursday, Amber said it's supposed to be a fast pedal for you. So for anybody, for everybody. And since I'm a spinner, 98 fast. Typically like 96 to 106 is the range I'm at. So 125 is fast. Whew. Longer tempo effort. Be sure to drink heavily. Or if it looks like, I guess I'm really small on your screen, so you can't really see my eyes. But I'm practically looking directly through the camera at the screen to watch my cadence, to keep it between 75 and 80 as much as I can. I'm at 82. And now it sounds over. That was a short version of that song. I'm listening to Pandora. I have no idea what playlist, or they call it stations. So this is 205. So after this one, I've only got 3 left. I'm feeling it. It's only 185 watts. But the methodology they use in Basecamp is we test once every, 3 or 4 weeks and reset our FTP. But we train at the bottom end of each zone because they want us to train as long as we possibly can, creating the adaptations, getting the benefit from the workout that's desired, but not over fatiguing us so that we can continue to ride 6 days a week for 4 months. And in doing that, we get more benefit than riding 3 or 4 days a week, taking more time off the bike because we're pushing the top end of our zones and we're spending more energy, but we're not actually getting any more benefit out of it. So we're working harder for the same level of benefit. And that's the trick that the pros know, is that when training, they train with the lowest amount of exertion possible to achieve the highest level of gains that they can get from any given workout. Where neophytes like me think it's just the opposite. I gotta train as hard as I freaking can, otherwise I'm not growing. And that's why they're pros and I'm not. Right? Come on. Come on. course, I've got all of this one left. Keep with the beat of the song. Trying to stay focused on the song instead of what's going on in my head. Because I know that I can do this. I know it's really easy. And if I don't listen to the negative voices in my head telling me that it's too hard, or that I can't do it, or that I don't need to do it, or any of that, negativity wins. I feel like shit because I didn't finish my workout. Versus pushing through it now, dealing with the pain, dealing with the anguish, knowing that I can do it, and then I feel awesome all day because I accomplished something. And my negative side just wanted me to quit. So in other words, I win. Beat the negativity in your own head, you win. And life is a constant series, battling the negativity in our own head. When everything's going right, we don't hear it, but it's holding us back then. When shit hits the fan, and we freak out, want to run away, quit, stop, get a different job, get a different girlfriend, get a different group of friends, get a different whatever, quit playing this sport, go do something else. When it gets so loud that it starts yelling at us, and those are the things it's telling us to do, rather than fleeing like a coward or a wimp, or what we're conditioned to in society today. Instead, keep pressing through those difficult times, those times when you are struggling, those times when your voice is telling you to stop. Those are the times when you have the biggest gains. Those are the times when you have the most opportunity to win. And it's those voices in your own head, your own voices, that are telling you to quit, that are telling you to give up, that are telling you that you don't deserve it. It's your own head that holds you back from the ultimate of success. And if you train yourself to ignore those messages, overcome the negativity and instead push through it, drive through it, and find your goal at the other end. That's when there literally is nothing in this world that can stop you from being successful, from achieving everything that you've ever dreamed of. And that's what I love about cycling, because when we get to these moments, whew, in our lives or in our days, in our workouts, in our group rides, in our races, in our fondos, when we get to those points where we start telling ourselves, you got nothing to prove, you don't have to stay with this group, you don't have to keep pushing, those are the opportunities for us to train ourselves to keep pushing, to train ourselves to push through it, to train ourselves not to listen to our own negativity, which is holding us back, but instead to become a positive force in our brains and enable our success. And in cycling, it's so easy. Hello? Spam call. In cycling, we can get to those points so quickly, and that voice gets so loud that we can't ignore it. But understand that every day, every moment of life, we've got those negative messages holding us back. We can't hear them. We don't recognize them, but they're there. And they're the reason that we decide to hit the snooze button on our alarm clock, or to roll over in bed, not jump out right first thing in the morning and get something done, or to set the alarm later instead of waking up early for a workout, or getting up and seeing the snow and saying, I'm not going to shovel today. Or, it's easier to just grab fast food than to cook a healthy breakfast. Or it's easier to just get fast food or eat at a restaurant than to pack a lunch that's nutrient rich and I know what the ingredients are. Or it's easier not to make phone calls and to mess around with my emails or find some other busy work than to make those difficult calls and create a difference for my company and for my career and for my future. Whether we hear them or not, those voices are always making decisions for us. And in cycling, they get loud enough that we can't deny them. We know they're there. And we can teach ourselves not to listen to them, to fill our heads with positive messages instead. Like, Dave, you got this. Dave, you're strong. Dave, this tempo effort is what you love. And when you can overcome it in your cycling, you're training your brain the same way we're training our bodies. You train your brain to always not listen to the negative messages and to always put a positive one in its place, which means we're training ourselves to be better people, to be more effective people, to be winners instead of quitters. Because let's face it, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to, are you going to quit when it gets tough in anything in life, or are you going to power through it? And are you going to make it to the finish line? you're always going to get the gold medal, but it does always mean that you're a winner. And never are those messages, or those feelings, or those emotions present as strong as they are in a pain cave, where it's hot and it's sticky and the lights are too bright and the fans aren't strong enough and the air's not cool enough and these freaking people on the TV are getting in your way. We're on number 4 of 5, almost done with number 4. Whew. I can do this. I got this. Who can't do 6 minutes of anything, especially tempo? Tempo's easy. Anybody can hit one more segment of tempo before you get to the finish line. Never quit before you achieve greatness. And that's what cycling gives us the opportunity to learn each and every time we climb onto the saddle. Man, my body's a little sore now. Woo. Don't let me down. Don't let yourself down. Keep pushing through to the finish. You got this. I got this. Dave, you got this. Don't let yourself down. About cycling. Every time we're out there with a hard effort, we can tell our brains that the positivity wins. We can tell that Amdulam Umblagata, that it's fight, not flight. Stay and fight to the finish, because when you do, you win. You're a winner. Because when you quit, you lose every time. But when you keep pushing through, you may not be the first one to the finish line. You may not get that sale or that bonus or achieve that miraculous discovery or figure out a new way to code something more efficiently, or whatever it is, but you're going to do way better and accomplish way more, guaranteed, if you push through to the finish than if you quit and you don't finish it. Because not finishing is giving up. And who gives up? Who quits? Who doesn't see it through to the end? Not you. You're a winner. You are the definition of a champion. You are what makes greatness great. You've got the right stuff, and you can do this. You're in the right place. You're in the right position. You're doing the right things. You're strong enough. You're healthy enough, you're fit enough to make it to the finish line. You're smart enough, you're cute enough, and you're bright enough, personality-wise, to see this to the finish and to win. Can't hear the music in the background, but it's playing in my ear. So you probably think I look pretty goofy, which I'd look goofy even if you could hear the music, but it's keeping me pumped up. I've only got 2 minutes and 5 seconds left. I can do this. So can you. No matter what your workout is, no matter what your challenge is, no matter what your difficulty is, you got this. You can do this. You can make this happen because you are a winner. And it doesn't matter if your body hurts physically or if you're hurt mentally or just emotionally upset or challenged or struggling. You're a winner and you can do this. No matter how much pain you're in, you can fight through this and you can achieve greatness. I know you can do this. You know you can do this. You know that you can beat those negative messages in your own brain, your own negativity, and that you can achieve it. Learn each and every time we're on the bike working out. B. Kicklenose, she just gave me a right on. 35 seconds. 33. 30. Oh, I was pedaling too fast. I innately do that when I'm going downhill. I'm going faster, so I'm going to pedal faster. 8 seconds. Told you can do this. The banner's right there. That's the finish line. You got this. Alright, that message obviously is programmed in there, but this is our last 30 seconds before our 3-minute 55 cooldown. Man, that was an awesome workout. That wasn't an easy workout. It wasn't hard, and I knew looking at it going into it that it wasn't hard, but I also knew what the intention of the workout was. And I knew those struggles, those mental struggles, because it's not physical. Those mental struggles were coming as my body starts building up with lactate. You know, it triggers a response in your lungs. Breathe a little harder to get rid of that CO2. It triggers your heart to beat a little faster, to pump more of that crap through your kidneys, to filter it out. It triggers your thirst response because you put more shit in your kidneys, so you need more liquid in your Nothing in life that you enjoy ever comes easy. It's never just given to you. You only enjoy it when you have these struggles, when you have this pain, when you have to push through the difficulties to achieve it. Because that's when you know, deep in your heart, in your soul, that's when you know that you earned this, that you deserve it. And that's what gives us, well, pleasure in life, knowing that you overcame, what do you call it? You overcame the evil in your mind. You overcame the evil spirits. You overcame the devil telling you couldn't. And instead you had the faith to press on in any situation that you're dealing with and to see it through to the end. And the end result was victory. It doesn't mean that there's going to be failures. There's not going to be failures along the path. But it means that when there are failures, you get back up, you dust yourself off, you look at the road rash and say, ah, damn it again. You get back on the bike, you keep pedaling. Because eventually, you reach that finish line. And you reach that finish line knowing that despite all the odds, despite every obstacle that you were confronted with, you pushed through it and you achieved success. You made it to the finish line. And that's something that you did by yourself. And that you let nobody or nothing, internal or external, stop you from achieving it. That's why I ride bikes. Well, that, and it's telling me I'm allowed to eat 4.2 slices of pizza. That's like half of a slice of Chicago-style pizza. 1,200 calories. So that was an awesome ride. I'm just going to cool down a little bit more. I'm at 35.5 miles. So I'll go to 36. But I gotta change gears and get off my butt because I don't know if it's the way I got these bibs on or if I just didn't move around enough during this ride or what, but and my ass is sore. Ooh, we're going up a big hill. I gotta shift gears a little bit. $3,261 feet, that's pretty good. It didn't happen. Gotta make sure Strava counts full 36 and some counts she doesn't. Besides, going downhill. With the band. workouts though, where when you get to the end, you're like, you know, I could keep going. But it's Saturday. It's I don't know what time o'clock it is, but it's certainly past the time when I should be focusing on my responsibilities and not just playing in my cave. So I'm going to go ahead and end this ride so we can look at the full stats. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh, not there. I gotta use this mouse. Menu. Nothing great. My 20-minute was 181, which, well, I was on earn mode, so we knew that, right? Alright. 4, only 4.4 still. Slices of pie. I didn't even get up to 4.5 slices of pie. 47 calories, 2 hours, 20 minutes exactly. 37.3 miles, average 155 watts to 127 TSS. Alright, what camera is on? Let me switch cameras here. Oh, I did not switch cameras, did I? Alright, thanks a lot for joining me. Come and join me tomorrow and take a look at the boring endurance ride, which I haven't looked at, but I'm sure is what's on the schedule